Florida Republican Representative Kat Cammack was able to obtain a life-saving abortion to treat her ectopic pregnancy only because she is a rich, privileged white with a direct line of communication to the governor's office, which she used to her advantage after her providers initially turned her down for her abortion out of fear for losing their license in Florida's strict abortion culture. She had Daddy DeSantis call the hospital and tell them to go ahead with her abortion without fear of reprisal from the state. Meanwhile, the rest of us low-level grunts get to just live with the consequences of her votes by bleeding out in the parking lot like barnyard animals. And now we have to listen to her wax poetic about how the Democrats are to blame for all the fear-mongering surrounding the abortion bills that she voted for. Like the MAGA cult member, hypocrite, gender traitor skank she is. Who said that?
Let's talk about it. And again, we're going to talk about Florida Senator Kat Cammack, right? The lady who fought so against abortion rights and women's health care, who herself got in a predicament with an ectopic pregnancy. But does she have to follow the rules just like everybody else? No. She was granted her abortion in the state of Florida. Now, why does she get special privileges? Why? Because she's white? Is that it? Is that she's white, she's rich, so she gets everything, even though in her state says it's against the law to have an abortion? This gets a free fuck ass. Why also many women don't? Why Adriana Smith lied in the fucking hospital, fucking rotting. She was forced to stay pregnant because in her state she wasn't allowed to get an abortion, even though she was rotting in her bed. And when they couldn't pump any more fucking drugs into her to keep her body viable, then they proceeded to rip fucking infant out of her belly, knowing it wasn't going to make it like a normal fucking child would. But this Kat Cammack gets a free fucking pass to an abortion. This is fucking wrong, and we fucking know it. Kat Cammack, I hope you got everything coming for bitch. You don't deserve shit. Your white privilege won't last forever. It will not. And people will never forget what happened. Never.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Afro Judy. I really appreciate your support and I hope you all are doing great. Republican Representative Kat Cammack had an abortion and it got people talking. She's been in the front line and she was against women abortion rights, and now she's the first person to break the law. Is it because she's a Republican or perhaps government official? Because it happened just after the Florida 6 weeks abortion ban was in effect. So guys, without further ado, let's dive in, and credit belongs to the original creators of these clips and videos. I'm your presenter, Judy, and kindly give the video a thumbs up.
This is Republican State Rep Kat Cammack, and last year she was pregnant, and then she got some devastating news. She found out that she had an ectopic pregnancy, and not only was she at risk to lose the ability to have children in the future, she was also at risk of dying. Good news is there are steps that could be taken. There's drugs she could take that would end that already not viable pregnancy and spare her life. And so, of course, she expected that to happen. The only problem is she's in Florida, and the 6-week abortion ban had just taken effect. And doctors were like, I don't know if we can do that. I'm not sure with this new law in place. If we can do that, I don't want to lose my license or go to jail. And she sprang into action. No, that can't happen to you. I was a supporter of this bill. I know what's in it. See, I'm good to go. You can do it to me. They're like, I don't know. I got to look into it. And then she even went as far as to call the governor's office late at night, but no one picked up because it was the middle of the night. Fortunately, within a few hours, doctors made the decision to go ahead and administer and take the risk, and her life and her fertility were spared. But that had to be a scary experience. This is something that we've been concerned about women all across the country with bans like this having to deal with. So obviously, when this happened to her, and she did this interview in the Wall Street Journal, obviously she talked about her personal experience and how these laws can create issues and put women's lives at risk, right? Wrong. That's not what she did. What she did instead was not fault the Florida law for her experience. Instead, she accuses the left of scaring medical professionals with messaging And that's why this happened. Because of the left. The left caused that. The left didn't scare those doctors. Your poorly written bill did. Okay? Attorneys got on the internet and started talking and saying, hey, I looked at this bill, and if I'm representing a doctor and this doctor contacts me and says, how much exposure do I have with this? I say the problem is that it says some things are okay and some things aren't, but it's not real clear on the language. It doesn't define it well. So if we're just talking about limiting your risk as much as possible, I'd say don't do any of the procedures. That's the advice that attorneys were being forced to give their clientele who are medical professionals. Like, if they feel like railroading you and going after you, it feels like they kind of could with this. But even with that set aside, can we talk about one more element of this that Kat is failing to acknowledge? Her level of privilege in that situation. Okay, she was able to confidently tell these doctors, you're not going to get in trouble. I'm a state representative. Like, I got your back. I was a part of this. I understand. She was able to pull it up and look at it and start talking about it line by line. I don't know if the average woman going through that would think to do that or would even be listened to when they tried to do that. And then she called the governor's office. I mean, that's a nice move to have. If she had waited till morning, someone would have been there to answer. The average woman experiencing this can't just call the governor's office. She got to live. She got to move on, get pregnant again, and have a child. A luxury that isn't afforded all of the women who have a similar experience to hers. And instead of acknowledging that and saying, let me work to make that better, let me at least work to change the language to make it clearer so doctors don't have to worry, she just blames the left. There are women who have literally died because of laws like this in states around the country. And all she can do, instead of standing up for women and being like, this was a terrible experience, I have to make sure no one experiences this, she's just going to toe the company line like a good little soldier.
This is deceased mother of two, Adriana Smith, who went into her local emergency room because she had a headache that she could not get rid of and was sent back home only the following day to be diagnosed with a brain aneurysm, which led to a brain bleed and her death. She is survived by two children, her son that she previously had, and the baby that she was made to carry while kept alive on life support due to Georgia's one heartbeat rule. At the time of her death, she was less than the amount of months that previously you were allowed to get a legal abortion. This is Kat Cammack, 37-year-old Republican Congresswoman from Florida. She was diagnosed as having an ectopic pregnancy. People at the facility were afraid to provide her with the medication that would invoke an actual abortion due to Florida's non-abortion laws. She has not given birth. She is no longer pregnant. Because what did she do? She went up the food chain to the governor for the governor to okay her having an abortion. She's alive and well. Healthcare providers in Georgia allowed Miss Adriana Smith to be kept alive on life support after being brain dead and forced her unborn child to suffer until they felt as if they were at a point where the child could survive without any of the natural things that occurred in a woman's body with the child being attached to them. They ran a medical experiment on Miss Adriana Smith in order to make a point under the guise of that they're following the law. She's gone. Kat Cammack is still alive. Even though her pregnancy was only life-threatening to her. Only life-threatening to her. In the case of Miss Adriana Smith, both of them would have died had she not been kept on life support. Miss Kammack here wasn't made to experience any of that in order to preserve the child, because her life was more important. The fucking hypocrisy. But I just wanted to make sure that y'all could see this, that people recognize this, that people heard about this. This is what so-called anti-abortion laws really are. It's another way to have some sense of control. Nothing more, nothing less. And control over the bodies of others. And when there's privilege involved, the rules are never going to be enforced the same.
Imagine being a Republican representative who voted in favor for an extreme abortion ban in your state. Then unfortunately, you deal with the near-death experience of an ectopic pregnancy. But because of the abortion ban that you voted in favor for, the professionals and the doctors, they're scared to even perform or give you the abortion drug that you need in order to save your life, because they're in fear of losing their license or possibly facing criminal charges or jail time. But because you're a Republican representative, you're able to cause this whole scene. Even though it was unsuccessful, you were able to make a call to the governor's office in order to put pressure on these medical professionals to give you the life-saving drug that you need in order to end your pregnancy. And then after going through all of that, surviving all of that, you blame the left, you blame the Democrats. You state it's their fault, the reason why the medical professionals were hesitant to even give you this abortion drug that you voted in favor of other women not receiving, even if they were in the same predicament as you. And that's exactly what happened with Republican Representative and House Pro-Life Caucus co-chair, Kat Cammack, or Cammack, whatever her last name is. Instead of using her near-death experience as a teaching moment in order to shed light on her party's bad policy, okay? Very harmful policy, very life-threatening policy, right? She's blaming the left. She's blaming the Democrats. She's saying that it's the Democrats that put the fear into the hearts of these medical professionals that made them reluctant to give her this abortion shot. So this happened May of last year, right? And I'm reading directly from the Wall Street Journal. So the doctors found out that the child's embryo was growing outside of the uterus where the fallopian tubes meet, a very life-threatening location, right? She was around 5 weeks pregnant. They said, if this ruptures, it will kill you. That's what the doctors told her. On top of that, the embryo had no heartbeat, right? Okay, the emergency room doctors and nurses determined that she would require a shot to terminate the potentially fatal ectopic pregnancy. However, the Florida's 6-week abortion ban had just taken place. Guess who helped voted in favor for that? Yeah. So because of that, the medical professionals were hesitant to save Cammack's life because they feared they'd lose their license or even be prosecuted and sent to jail, right? After hours of arguing and even one unsuccessful call to Governor Ron DeSantis, mind you, it was unsuccessful, but how many of us have those connections to even make that kind of phone call? You understand? And I'm sure it was that kind of phone call that helped, you know what? We got to give her this medication, because that's exactly what happened. So they finally gave it to her. And months later, rather than using the experience as a teaching moment to maybe even help educate her own party, she's blaming the left. By a show of hands, who's still shocked or surprised that these Republicans refuse to take accountability for anything? I'm absolutely not even shocked. It's just crazy how the same exact drug that you needed to save your life, you voted in favor of so many other women not being able to receive that same life-saving medication. Not every pregnancy is black and white, right? You were able to do what you needed to save your life. Meanwhile, you have denied so many women in this country from being able to have access to that same resource. that same resource. You should be ashamed of yourself. And rather than coming out here and owning it and using it as a teaching moment, you want to pass off blame. And then when your office needed to be evacuated because you were receiving death threats, you still wanted to blame the left. No, they were mad at you. You were getting death threats because you were able to save your life, but God knows how many women have already died because of the policy that you voted in favor for.
I just found out today that a Republican representative just had an abortion. Republican MAGA representative Kat Cammack, I think, was pregnant, except her baby turned ectopic. So she had to get rid of it. She had to get an abortion or else she would die as well. There was no saving the baby. And so, like any normal woman, you go to the hospital, get help, you make the difficult decision to be like, you really got to sit with it. And it's like, well, there's nothing I can do. This pregnancy is over. And so it's really down to, do I want to save my own life or do I also want to die with this baby? Most women will choose to save their own life. So it seems like a done deal. Except she was one of the front runners of banning post 6-week abortion in Florida. And so for the longest time, they were refusing her care. So she was basically dying because of her own bill that she was passing. Like, don't get me wrong, as a woman, I could never fully just make a joke about that and not feel some type of way about it. But, like, you cannot make this up. Like, honestly, I feel like I should make a series about Republican hypocrisy because there's just so much every single day. Luckily, there's a silver lining. There's a happy ending. You know, she was able to get the care she needs. She's not dead right now. Because, I mean, I'm a Christian. I don't wish death on anybody for real. But now she's blaming the left. Say this leftist fear-mongering. That did what? Leftist fear-mongering that made getting you the care that you needed illegal? Can somebody arrest her? Because I think she just got an abortion, which is illegal in Florida.
Wow, welcome back, guys. People are so mad, and they're mad for a reason, and I also support them because these are representative. She voted for this. She was against women's rights, especially the abortion rights, and now she's the first person to break that law. Is it because she's a government official or perhaps a Republican? Because there are women suffering each and every time because of these laws. They can't get an abortion, their lives are endangered, they're at risk. But this woman still went ahead and even called the governor when the doctors at first refused to attend to her because they knew that by doing that, they will lose their license and maybe taken to jail. That's why they were so scared. And I really don't know why the doctor still went ahead and did it. I'm not saying that they should not do it, but if this representative supported that and was against women's abortion rights, that means she should follow that law as well. You know, people are trying to compare this with that black woman in Atlanta, Georgia. I hope you heard that story of Adriana Smith, whose body was used as an incubator. You know, now, in this case, one body is used for scientific experiment and the other body is saved as fast as possible. That's why I was asking, did she get an abortion because she is white and Adriana Smith was black? Because by the time that Adriana Smith started having a headache, she was barely a few months pregnant, a few weeks pregnant. She could have been saved, but the doctor said, no, you have blood clots in your brain. The doctors knows that your life is so much in danger. And now they use your body as an incubator to incubate this baby for all that time. I think they ripped that baby off her body because she started decomposing. They couldn't keep her for all that time. And still they want the family to pay for all that bill. Honestly, when the family themselves refused, they wanted their daughter to bury their daughter. Going to the hospital, you see your daughter lying on the bed and you know very well that she is already dead, but the doctors are trying to do their scientific experiments on her body. It's so disheartening for sure. And now this representative who supported that law is going against the very, very law she supported. I was going through her page. She made several videos because people were so mad at her. And I'm glad that even the white women are super mad at her because of whatever she did. If the law has been passed in a country, let all the people follow that law, not just the normal citizens who are not government officials. It doesn't matter that if you are a government official, you should not follow a law that has been passed. You should be following that law. Because you see how women are suffering outside there. So many have lost their lives because of the abortion ban. Yes, I understand that that was ectopic pregnancy and her life was in danger. Why didn't they consider Adriana Smith's case? Because she was also in danger. She could have been saved earlier, if she could have had that abortion. Maybe it was the only option that she had for her to live. We couldn't have lost her. And we have lost such a precious soul. Now baby Chance, her baby is baby Chance. The baby will live to remember all that the mother went through. The baby will be so traumatized, learning whatever the mother went through. And matter of fact, when the baby will learn that she was ripped out of her mom's body when her mom was already dead for weeks and weeks, how do you think that baby will feel? Honestly, it will be so sad. Now, for this representative who still went ahead and did it, now blaming the left for fear-mongering. You've done a mistake and you are still blaming the other party. For the sake of God. Anyway, I'm not trying to be judgmental or I'm not trying to criticize her, but whatever she did was not good. Because women are so mad, even men are so mad at this case. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section about this. Thank you so much for watching this video. I honestly appreciate it. Kindly give it a thumbs up and also subscribe if you are coming across the channel for the very first time. I'm your presenter, Judy. Let's meet on my next episode. Peace and love.